Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, May 28th. Coming at you first time in a couple of days. And if you've noticed, I've gotten my hair cut. I feel much more like myself and less like my high school afro-looking self. So I feel good. Your workout that you have today is a workout that I actually completed on Tuesday morning. Real fun style workout. It's a good doozy, good sweat. And you need to make sure that you're pushing yourself in all three sections of this MetCon today, or else you don't get to move on to the next one. So there's no dogging it throughout this entire thing. The workout is called the Gauntlet. It's pretty appropriately named. You're going to run through a gauntlet of basically three separate workouts, all of them being a nice little challenge. So let's go through it together, and then I'll break down kind of how I approached it and really just what I'm looking for. So the gauntlet, in the first, I guess, MetCon, you want to call it that, you have 8 minutes to complete a certain number of burpees depending on what fitness track you're taking today. So from 0 minutes to 8 minutes, if you're going fitness today, you have to do 70 burpees in that time, okay? If you're going performance or open, it's a level playing field. You've got 90 burpees if you're going performance or open today. So you have 8 minutes to get that done. Since we're starting fresh, I'm hoping to God that we can make it through that number of reps in 8 minutes so that we can move on to the second piece. But again, if you do not hit the required reps in that 8-minute clock, your workout is over. At least that's what Daniel has as the rules today. If you're doing this at home and you don't have anybody breathing down your neck watching you, and you run it right up to 8 minutes and you want to continue on, will I ever know? No. But that's what we have for the first piece. If you finish in under 8 minutes, let's say you finish, if you're going fitness day, you finish 70 burpees in 6 minutes, you've got 2 minutes to rest before the next 8-minute clock begins. As our next 8-minute clock begins, you can either have a timer set to where a new 8-minute clock will start, or you can just keep the running clock going from 8 minutes to 16 minutes on that running clock. Your second MetCon is 3 rounds of 10 clean and jerks and 30 lateral bar hopovers. During this whole quarantine at home, you should have plenty of experience with lateral bar hopovers by now. Just needed to get creative during this time to try to get your heart rate up at home if you're not jumping rope or anything like that, or don't have box jumps or boxes for box jumps, something like that. But it's 3 rounds, 10 clean and jerks, 30 lateral bar hopovers. Fitness today, you're going 95-65 on the barbell, or if you have dumbbells at home, we're going with a pair of dumbbells. One head of the dumbbell will touch the ground every time, and we'll go 35-pound dumbbells for the guys, 25 for the ladies. Performance and open, same thing, level playing field. It's 135-95, which is the same weight that you would do for Grace, which is 30 clean and jerks for time, and you will do a total of 30 clean and jerks in this MetCon, the second MetCon. Or if you've got dumbbells at home, we're going to go 50s for the guys, 35s for the ladies, and again, making sure that you're touching one head of the dumbbell to the ground every time. The last section, if you make it there, if you finish that second piece in under 8 minutes, you will continue on to the very last portion of the workout today, and hopefully you can dodge the rain today, even though we'll talk about some scaling options or subs if you've got some other cardio equipment at home in the next little bit here. But from minute 16 to 24 in this workout, or just your third 8-minute clock, however you're setting it up, we have a 1-mile run. So at the end of your first 2 MetCons here, you have to run a mile in under 8 minutes to finish this thing off. Some of us are going to have trouble making that 8-minute mark. If so, run for 8 minutes and let time run out, and then just stop wherever you are. But again, we can only move on to that last piece if we finish both MetCons, the first 2 stations, before we get to the third. So that is what we have. I'm imagining we will have 3 separate scores, your total time in an 8-minute clock to complete the certain number of burpees that you have to complete, how long it takes you in that second 8-minute clock to do your 3 rounds of 10 clean and jerks and 30 lateral bar hopovers, and then finally your mile time at the end. So that is the gauntlet. A lot of fun today, real sweaty. Again, like I said, I did it 2 days ago. A lot of fun, real different style workout, real cool. So we're going to talk a bit of strategy here, or tips, before we start the warm-up, and then let's run through the gauntlet. Okay, let's talk strategy for the first part, burpees. You can either approach this one of 2 ways. I chose to approach it this way, although we'll talk about another option on how you could attack this first piece. I chose to just kind of stay the same pace and find a rhythm the whole way through, basically working 10 reps at a time. I'm a guy who very much likes to reward myself with just a different look or something, visually different. As I'm moving through just a long set of something like this, 90 burpees. That's what I had to do the other day. So I would spend 10 reps just staying on the same rhythm, same pace, not getting too high, not getting too low, right out of the gate, of just 10 looking in this direction. I would reward myself after that 10 seconds by taking a big deep breath, facing the other direction, doing 10, and I would just go around in a circle for 10 reps at a time. Every 10 reps, I would reward myself with a big breath in, and then I'd get back down and try to keep the same pace moving from there. Reason why I did it that way, I knew I was going to be able to finish a little bit faster and bank some rest time for myself, rather than doing it in maybe an EMOM style fashion. So my heart rate might have been a little bit more jacked than maybe, some of you that choose to go in EMOM style and maybe take up close to all 8 minutes and not give yourself much rest, but just stay at kind of a consistent, heartbeat the whole time. That's fine too. That would be the second way I could tell you to approach this thing. Just do your math. I would recommend giving yourself a little bit of rest before you move on to the next piece. I certainly don't want you to use all 8 minutes here. But right out of the gate, if you're able to do something like, 15 burpees in the first minute, have maybe like 10 seconds to rest before you start your next minute and do another 15 burpees in that minute, set it up EMOM style, I think that could be a great way to approach it as well. So do whatever floats your boat there. The second piece, 8-minute clock of 3 rounds of 10 clean and jerks and 30 lateral bar hopovers. I think we all know singles on the barbell is going to be the way to go here. Catch it in a power clean, drive right up out of that dip, that same dip that you catch in, drive up, force that bar up overhead, drop it, and then we're quick singles right back to the bar again. So that's how I want you to approach the second one. The mile run. For those of us CrossFitting at this gym, and I know that there are plenty of members at this gym who CrossFit because they hate running. They don't want to run. They want to do all their conditioning with a barbell like we do in the second piece. But in this mile run, to finish things off today, you are going to have to push it. A lot of us are going to have to push it, especially at the end of a workout. If you're already, if you're fresh and concerned about, making the time cap of an 8-minute mile run, try doing it after the first 2 pieces. It's going to be difficult for a lot of us. So that 8-minute clock, we just got to push it as best we can. I know it's supposed to rain real heavy throughout the day today, so depending on what time you work out, you might not even get a chance to go outside and run this thing. Some of you might just go run it anyway in the rain and not care, and that's fine. But for me, I've been doing a lot of running recently. I think like just the day before I did this, I went on like a 4 or 5 mile run. My hips were a little sore. My calves were a little sore. I didn't really want to run, but I wanted to hit this workout the other day. So I chose to row instead. I did a 2K row in place of that mile run. A little longer than what I would have had to do on the mile run, but the timing was probably going to work out pretty similarly in how long it was going to take me. Ladies, if you're choosing to go that route, I'd tell you to probably keep it at 1,600 meters, which is just like a mile on the rower. But for the fellas that really want a nice push, 2K row, barely snuck in under the 8-minute time cap there. I think I finished it in like I don't know, 7:20, 7:30, something like that. But my butt was just on fire afterward. I haven't done a 2K row in a long time, especially at the end of a MetCon. So that's how I want you to approach this thing. There are some subs that you guys can certainly use. But one thing I didn't talk about was dumbbells for the middle piece. If you don't have barbell at home and you're using dumbbells, we're not going to be going singles. We're going to be going touch and go with a couple of reps there. But again, that's going to bring on a whole different challenge for you using dumbbells today. I mean, honestly, I think that using dumbbells and having to go touch and go to the floor every rep is probably going to be a little bit more difficult than a barbell. You just need to make sure that everything is pinned down nice and tight in the middle. Keep everything real nice and tight in your core so that you're not getting reckless yanking that thing off the ground going back and forth. So that's what we got. We're going to hit the warm-up now. And we'll do a little bit of stretching before the MetCon actually begins, but hopefully that gives you some good info on what I'm looking for today. All right, so let's talk about the warm-up, and I'm going to edit this so that we can have kind of like a ticker showing you exactly what I want you doing in this warm-up, because there's a lot going on, but I felt like doing something a little different today. So how this is going to go. We are going to run off 3 different clocks, just like you will in the Gauntlet in the MetCon today. We're basically going to have 3 separate 2-minute AMREPs, and we're going to change up the movements or the exercises in each 2 minutes or each 2-minute clock. So from 0 to 2 minutes, let's just say we've got a running clock going for a total of 6 minutes, 3 separate 2-minute AMREPs. From 0 to 2 minutes, you are going to do 100 feet of sprints, okay? So basically, probably the easiest way to do this is just set up maybe 50 feet out, 50 feet back. That's our 100-foot sprint, okay? Or jog, just to get nice and loose. After you do that 100 feet of sprinting, we've got a total of 5 up-downs, which essentially is just getting yourself from a standing position down to the top of a high plank. Replace your feet, stand back up, and no jump. It is a burpee without taking your chest to the floor. Don't take your chest to the floor. The lowest we go is the top of a high plank. And then we don't jump at the top. We just open the hip and stand up. So for that first 2 minutes, as many rounds as possible, 100-foot sprint, so 50 out, 50 back, and then 5 up downs, okay? That is the first 2-minute clock. The second 2-minute clock, so from minute 2 to 4, we are going to start with that same 50-foot distance. We're going to go 50 feet of broad jumps. No burpee broad jumps. We'll do plenty of burpees here coming up. But I want 50 feet of broad jumps followed by 50 feet of a plank walk. I came in here to my living room just to show you what I mean by that, because you've done it in the warm-up with me in class before, but now I'm just giving it a name. So after that 50 feet of broad jumps going out, you're going to go 50 feet of a plank walk coming back. You're going to go into a high plank. You're going to shift weight back and forth, walking maybe about 25 feet one way, and then switch it around, go 25 feet the other way for a total of 50 feet. So from minute 2 to 4, 50 feet of broad jumps, finishing with 50 feet of a plank walk. Again, we will AMREP that for 2 minutes, either that second 2-minute clock or from minute 2 to 4 on a running clock. And then lastly, from minute 4 to 6, or our third 2-minute AMREP, we are going to be doing a Curtis P complex with a barbell that you have at home, or you can certainly do it with a light set of dumbbells as well. That's fine, even if you just have one dumbbell. That's fine. But what a Curtis P complex is, if you haven't done it here at the gym since we've programmed them, a Curtis P, if you're doing this with a barbell, it's just going to be done with an empty barbell. You have 1 power clean starting at your shins, so 1 power clean right into 2 front rack lunges, so 1 lunge on each leg, and then we finish with 1 push press up overhead, okay? So again, from minute 4 to 6 here for a 2-minute clock, We are going to hang on to that barbell or your dumbbells. We'll try to hang on for all 2 minutes. You'll do one Curtis P complex, which again is a power clean, lunge, lunge in the front rack position into a push press overhead. When you complete one Curtis P complex, I want you to hold up in that position or that overhead position for 10 seconds, come back down, and do it all over again. Okay, so we've got 2 minutes of that. A Curtis P complex right into a 10-second hold, and then we repeat it over and over again until that 2-minute clock is up. Now that I've said it all, set a clock for 6 minutes. Every 2 minutes, we'll change those exercises. Go. Now, after that is done, we are going to start some active stretching on each side of your body. I'm going to ask for 5 rounds total of this on each leg. So how it's going to start out, we're just going to hammer away at one side first, then we'll switch to the other back and forth for a total of 5 rounds. 5 rounds on each leg. We are going to start with a high knee pull on your right leg. Take it to the floor, bring it back up. We're going to pull on the outside part of your hip and into your glute. And then from there, we're just going to hinge forward into a one-legged, stiff-legged hamstring stretch on that right side as well. So left leg will go back. We'll stay stiff-legged on the right to dig into those hamstrings and light them up a little bit. And then we'll come back to standing. From there, we'll do the same thing on the other side. High knee pull on the outer part of your hip, and then again, send the right leg back so we're stretching out that hamstring on the left leg. Going through 1 round on each leg is going to be counted as 1 round. I want a total of 5 rounds of that. Go. After 5 rounds of that, I want 10 side lunges total, so 5 on each leg to open up your hips and your groin. Go. The next couple of stretches are going to be done up against a wall, rig, whatever you have at home is fine. But the first one is just going to be a calf stretch up against the wall. I want you to spend about 10 seconds on the right leg, and then we'll go 10 seconds on the left leg. From there, we're going to dig into your upper body, okay? Let's spend maybe about 20 seconds or so on each side for each one of these stretches. First one is just going to be a stretch into your lats. Go ahead and push your hand up against a wall and lean in with your outstretched arm. From there, we'll switch to a front rack stretch. You'll bend at the elbow and again, drive that armpit into the wall. From there, we'll go chest opener. Get your burpee muscles ready for that first 8 minutes of this MetCon in the Gauntlet. Again, you'll spend about 20 seconds in each one of those stretches before we switch to the other side. Once we are done, all of those upper body stretches and your calf stretch at the beginning, I want you to spend some time stretching out your wrists, your forearms as well. Again, we can spend about 20-30 seconds on each hand before we're done with stretching here. Once you are all done that's going to conclude the stretching portion and warm up. If you need to do anything else on your own, that's fine. But we're going to recap the workout here real quickly before we let you get started. Time to run through the Gauntlet. Again, let's recap it real quick. It's a total of 24 minutes in this workout. You have an 8-minute clock in the first piece to do a certain number of burpees. Fitness is doing 70 burpees. Performance and open are doing 90 burpees. You have 8 minutes to complete that. Any time that you leave in that 8-minute clock once you are done is just rest for you. So when that 8-minute clock is up, no matter where you're at, whether you just finished or you finished 2 minutes ago, the next piece is going to start. But again, you cannot hit that next piece unless you've completed all the required reps in the piece beforehand. From minute 8 to 16, or the second 8-minute clock, you've got 3 rounds of 10 clean and jerks, 30 lateral bar hopovers. Same rule applies. Need to finish that within the 8-minute clock to continue. And again, any time that you finish early or that you leave on the clock is just rest for yourself. Last piece, for minute 16 to 24 or the last 8-minute clock, you have a 1 mile run or just doing one of those cardio equipment options that we talked about beforehand. If you have a rower at home, I know that's probably what people have most access to. I rode a 2K. Ladies, I'd say maybe row a 1600. If you're not going to be running the mile today because of the rain and you just don't feel like running whatever it is. So that's what we have. The mile run is appropriately placed at the end. For those of us that know that we're not going to finish in an 8-minute clock, hey, at least you got to hit the first 2 pieces before we kill you on the last one. So that's what we have for the workout. Again, weights are posted online on the blog. We talked about them already. Go ahead and set that clock for either 3 8-minute clocks or a running clock up to 24 minutes. Run through the gauntlet, come back, we'll stretch out to finish off the day. Now it is time for the cool down after that butt kicking. We have 3 separate stretches that I want you to hit today. It's going to be a minute on each side, alternating back and forth. Your first stretch is going to be a dragon stretch, which is a deep lunge to stretch out your hip flexor. That's the only thing that I want you focusing on in this stretch is, really stretching into your hip flexor, but there's a couple other things we got to focus on. Keeping your chest upright, keeping your torso upright, and just try to find your balance. So whatever leg you start with, you will send the opposite leg back towards the wall behind you, and we'll lunge out in front with the lead leg. Let's say that we're starting with stretching out the left side. We'll lunge forward with the right leg, outstretch that left leg behind you as far back as you possibly can. So again, not as much of a focus on the lead leg. It's all about stretching out your hip flexor on the back leg. So spend a minute on each side. From there, we'll go into a hamstring stretch. Again, you'll still be down on one knee with the other leg outstretched in front of you in front. Heel down on the ground. You stretch out your hamstring on one side for a minute, hamstring on the other side for 1 minute. Last stretch we will do, stretch out your burpee muscles. Chest opener, laying down on the ground. I do this stretch all the time, so you should know what I'm talking about. Laying down on the ground, bring out your right arm flat beside you, kick your left leg around the backside to stretch all in this area here. 1 minute on the right, 1 minute on the left. That is what we have. 3 different stretches, a minute on each side. So take that total of 6 minutes to stretch yourself out after running through the gauntlet. And hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did.